You all for joining us here tonight. I am joined by my Vice Chair, Caleb Beetleman, Secretary Leora Pelvin, Media Specialist Olivia Vasquez, Sergeant of Arms Brain Crafton. And our amazing adult advisors, Shay Lewis, Kieran G, Dwayne Harley, Karen Jacobs, which could not be here tonight, Ms. Maxine Angel, Emmanuel Klein, and Cheyenne Khan. All of us, along with the amazing members of the Youth Advisory Board, create the well-oiled machine that we are. The Civics event is more than just a panel. The Civics event aims to provide our students with valuable insights into how their town government works. Today we will have our panelists share and highlight key aspects of their field and engage in a meaningful dialogue with our students. We are privileged to have 10 distinguished panelists with us this evening. Each of them brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in their respective fields. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Doug Lucione, Ms. Cassandra Reyes, Mr. William Heaney, Dr. Andrew Spencer, Ms. Cheryl Hall, Mr. Trevon Romeo, Ms. Hillary Goldberg, Mr. Michael Pagan, and Mr. Seth Kriegel. To our panelists, thank you for your time and commitment to empowering the next generation of possible civic professionals. Tonight's program will continue as follows. Our panelists will stand up one by one and go through their general upbringings, backgrounds, and how they obtained their positions, as well as the favorite part of their position. Panelists will answer some of the pre-made questions created by us. Then, questions will open to the floor. We ask that you keep your questions pertaining to the positions that our panelists hold. Then, we will have a small activity, and that will bring us to the end of our event. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you all for being here, and panelists, please begin.
Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl Hall, and it is a great privilege to be here with all of you. I kind of feel a little bit underwhelmed with myself with all of these distinguished people here, but I'm very thankful. I am the current chair of the Advisory Board of Community Relations, and I also help to co-found an organization called Teaneck Interfaith Community, bringing interfaith leaders together. I have served on the Community Relations Board since 2019. So you just wanted a general. My favorite part is absolutely working with others and working with the community. I think on both levels. I like to help and be a part of the process where I can and contribute, and I also enjoy learning new things and listening to others. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Virginia Ann Dutton. I'm the Recreation Supervisor at the Recreation Department. I've only been there for about a year, so I'm still learning a lot. I help oversee our adult and our youth seasonal programs, as well as the pool when it opens up, our splash pad, the sprinklers. There's probably a lot more. Oh, sports and arts, our other camp. It's quite a lot, but it's very exciting, and especially this time of year, it's really exciting. Oh, and my favorite part is working with my wonderful coworkers.
Hi everybody, I'm Zana Jones. I'm the director for the Senior Center at the Rec Department. This is a full circle moment because I used to be on the Youth Advisory Board a couple years ago. So thanks for having me today. So I oversee the senior division. We offer over 55 classes weekly. We have about 600 and so people that come through our doors on a weekly basis. Very diverse, which is great. I think my favorite part about what I do is meeting new people. I'm such a people person, so just being able to talk to different people from different walks of life and learn about their backgrounds and their upbringings has been like probably the most rewarding thing.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Seth Kriegel. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Teaneck Police Department. I grew up in Teaneck, went through a proud graduate of Teaneck schools, K through 12. class of '97. So this is also kind of a full circle moment for me as well. I'm in my 22nd year as a Teaneck police officer, and as I said, I'm currently the deputy chief, Navy chief. We're a 93-member organization. Glad to be here tonight to hopefully share some things with all of you, and engage with you, and that's one of the, I would say, the most rewarding aspects of my job, is particularly in the current role that I'm in right now, and really throughout my career, has just been to meet new people, engage with the community, continue to learn. I consider myself a lifelong learner, and that's something that I truly enjoy. And I would say another thing I really enjoy about my job is being able to fulfill people's dreams, in that if they want to be a police officer, it's something they wanted to do all their life, and to be part of that hiring process, and be able to tell somebody, you're selected to be a police officer. That's always been very rewarding for me. So, good evening. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm Councilwoman Hillary Goldberg. So I'm a lifelong Teaneck resident. I too graduated Teaneck High School, class of '02. And it does feel really good to be back here. I am councilwoman in my first term. I got involved in Teaneck because I started Teaneck Voices and then Teaneck Tomorrow, and I love educating residents about the issues, and that's how I got involved. And it feels really good to get back to the town that I grew up in and that my mother grew up in. And I think my favorite part of my job is the little things. So when we get stop signs and speed bump requests and the little things, and then we do the work to get it in, and then the residents come in and see their advocacy, and I love seeing it come full circle. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Michael Pinon, and I am your Teaneck mayor. And I'm a lot like you guys. I went to Whittier Elementary School, Benjamin Franklin Middle School, and Teaneck High School, class of 1994. And so since we're talking about full circle moments, I used to spend a lot of time in this room. Growing up, I was telling you about Dr. Spencer, half the time I was spending in this room was in detention. To be very frank with you, but one of my most favorite parts of the job is helping people, because that's what it's supposed to be about. It's always about helping the community and bringing it forward. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with you tonight.
Hi. Hello. I'm Cassandra Reyes. I am a Board of Education trustee, and this year I was actually elected to vice president. Being a board member is an elected position, and it's actually volunteer. I truly love being an advocate for students, and that's what drives my passion to want to be elected. And as a board trustee, not only do we have a workshop meetings and regular board meetings, we also serve on committees. This year I'm serving on the personnel committee, the finance committee, and special education committee. And we're also liaisons. I'm actually the liaison for the youth advisory board, where it's time to meet them monthly, as well as veteran Franklin Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. Andre Spencer, Superintendent here in Teaneck Public Schools. Definitely a pleasure to be here this evening, because it's a representation of what our young people are capable of doing, and that's something that we always try to highlight for everyone that we come into contact with, is the capabilities of our young people, because they're the ones who are the future that we're anticipating that we will see. Just really quickly, when we talk about the favorite parts of my job, one of my bosses happens to be sitting here, so the favorite part of my job is to, of course, interact with our Board of Education as well as with our educators. But the most favorite part of my job is actually coming up in a couple of weeks, June 13th at 6 p.m. And that's the opportunity to see our young people graduate and walk across the stage and really showcase all of their accomplishments that they have made during their journey as they were going through Teaneck Public Schools, but then also to showcase what they're going to do next. And whether that's going off to college, or going off into trade school, or going off to technical school, or going off into the workforce, is really showcasing that they are able to culminate everything that they have gathered in their experiences by going through Teaneck Public Schools, and now they're going to showcase it in whatever it is that they choose to do. And I just love to see that happen for our young people. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Will Eady. I'm a lieutenant with the Teaneck Fire Department. Currently assigned to the Fire Prevention Bureau. I'm actually a third generation Teaneck resident. Graduated from this high school in '08. Couldn't get enough of town, so I went to Fairleigh Dickinson and graduated in 2012. So my office deals with a lot of fire safety issues and keeping up with fire codes throughout the town, various buildings, businesses, residents. High school is not too unfamiliar with me, even though I've been out a number of years. I'm always here checking exit signs and lights. Like Chief Kriegel said, I'm a very avid learner, as are everybody in my department. We take pride in always keeping up with different classes, keep our skills sharp. Perhaps more so than that, what I like about the job is just interacting with the public. I like building relationships with business owners. I like coming back here, seeing my old teachers. In fact, you guys probably have some of my old teachers. But yeah, that's probably the most important part of the job to me, is building relationships, seeing businesses succeed, you guys succeed. I just like seeing the town flourish.
Hi, good night. I'm Trevor Romeo, a Director of Public Works. Unlike everybody on this panel, I wasn't born in this country. I was born in the lovely Republic Island of Trinidad and Tobago. And I started with the Department of Public Works in 2003. I started here as a mechanic, and I was promoted to supervisor of the school division, and eventually I did a couple courses and was elevated to the position of a Director of Public Works. One of my most gratifying part of my job is solving problems with unconventional methods and trying to alleviate flooding and to improve the aesthetics of the town without causing much burden to the taxpayers. I like helping people. I like inspiring youth. And I really like being a part of Teaneck.
Good evening, happy Wednesday to all of our friends here this evening. My name is Doug Roussillon. I am your township clerk. Much like Trevon, I did not have the pleasure, like our esteemed panel, of growing up in the township of Teaneck. I grew up about 40 minutes northward in Ringwood, New Jersey, up in the sticks we like to call it, where really only 40 minutes away, it's very a different world in there, very much a different world up there. We have no streetlights, we have no sidewalks. We got our first traffic light in 2013 at the bottom of Skyline Drive, and if you think that you see communities get passionate about issues, you should have saw a lot of Ringwood old-timers fighting the traffic light. It was a big deal. And you know, I grew up most of my life in Ringwood, that's correct, and my parents raised me there. I was raised by two very hardworking parents, middle-class parents, who I never really connected until I came to Teaneck in 2018, but they were actually government workers their whole life. It's not that I didn't pay attention to what they were doing, but much as folks say a full circle moment here, it was a very big full circle moment for me, realizing like, wow, the apple does not fall far from the tree. I have been serving the public in different capacities for a while now, just like my parents. And in Teaneck, with that being specifically, is maybe everyone here is almost old enough to vote. We have a lot of voters here also, I see. As you all may know, you vote your council in every 2 years here in Teaneck. The council then appoints a manager, a CFO, and a clerk to help manage the everyday business of the town. And what's very unique about that in a place like Teaneck is that I'm sure everyone here is aware that we are a very, very involved community on all ends. Between our academics, our education, our first responders, our public servants and volunteers, and of course all of us at the town hall, at the fire department, at the DPW, it really has been an enriching experience for me to be able to interact with really talented public servants. You know, I'm sitting there at the end of the table and looking at like a very direct row of decades and decades of public service to their community, which is a very beautiful thing to see. Not only that, for community members in the crowd that are doing it, but they also see that there are careers in serving your community, which is a very important thing for our young people to realize. Not that there's anything wrong with lawyers and doctors. We know a lot of lawyers and doctors, but there's also a lot of fruitful careers in education, in public administration, your local government. And I think one of the most fruitful experiences for me has been able to come as an outsider and be able to see and facilitate all the activity that the Teaneck community has in store for it. And it's really an honor to sit here with everyone here, sit here with you all. And you know, we've been doing this event now for a number of years with the Youth Advisory Board, and it's really always a pleasure. We're always happy to help out and looking forward to a great program tonight.
So now we will move on to some of our pre-made questions for our panelists. Just to let you know, you are being timed. You have about 2 minutes to answer each question, just to let you know. Here we have our question moderators, Olivia, Kayla, and Matt. And yeah, they'll get started.
First question, what motivated you to get involved in civics and public service?
And first again, Cheryl Hall here, and I think I got motivated from what you guys are all doing right now. In high school, I also, I went to 2 years of public school here, and then the rest I went to Catholic schools, but even there, I did public speaking, debate, forensics, civic questions. So I always knew that in some capacity, I would either do volunteerism in public service, or maybe I might even work there. So that's basically how I got involved, just doing, and it started at a young age. I always knew from high school, from your ages, you know, up, that I would be doing stuff like that. And I think it was also fostered by my parents, and believe it or not, by my church, also being centered about what the community needs and caring about others within our community. So that's what motivated me. Thank you.
My honest answer is I needed a job, and the recreation department had an open position. I kind of actually fell into it. It started off as seasonal employment, and it sort of lined up that they were offering a full-time position, and I took it, and I have learned so much in the last year that I've been working here. It's kind of strange because I'm not like you. I did not know that I'd want to be helping my community, but I did grow up here in Teaneck all my life. I went to St. Anastasia's. All three of my, I know, shout out to my girls. And I graduated in 2016 from here. My 2 other siblings younger than me, they graduated from here. And I had my first job as a lifeguard at the recreation center. So it was kind of weird coming back, and I kind of just went and spoke to Sean. I'm sure some of you know Sean Powers. And he was like, yeah, so this is what you'd be doing. And now I'm doing what he used to do. And there's a lot of care that this community puts into all the things that they do. I think that all the panelists here sort of can attest to that. And yeah, that's I fell into it. That's the short answer.
So what motivated me? I feel like I've always had a knack for civics and local government and government in general. I came from really active parents in church. I think that also, like Cheryl said, that's very foundational, and active voters. And I actually started at the rec at 16 as a camp counselor, and then worked my way up to like an admin, then a program coordinator, then assistant director, and now director. So I feel like it's just kind of been, again, another full circle moment to kind of see the growth. And I never thought it would be in Teaneck. I didn't know what it would be. But growing up here, it's really great to serve the community that you grew up in. There's really nothing like it.
So I don't really have the most traditional route into law enforcement than most of my coworkers do. I don't have any police officers in my family. I didn't grow up as a young child wanting to be a police officer. I think really what led me to this job was I was a little bit of a knucklehead as a youngster. Might have gotten in a little trouble. And I was kind of leading down, I would say, maybe not the best path with some of the people I was hanging out with. And I think it was really the influence that several role models had in my life, authority figures, pushing me in the right direction. And so I always had a sense of like, okay, I want to be able to do that for other people, particularly for young people. So that was kind of something that I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. I knew I didn't want a desk job. And so I guess probably by about my junior year, I said, you know what, maybe I want to be a police officer, you know, so I went to school, I majored in criminal justice, I took the test, and unfortunately I got hired. And it's been exciting, and it's been challenging.
So I've lived in Teaneck my whole life. I'm a third generation Teaneck resident. I have a master's in public administration from John Jay College in criminal justice administration. So public service and public administration has always been an interest to me. But I did not start out, this is my first step actually. I started after meeting a group of residents that were just as interested in the nerdy topic of public administration, learning about our Faulkner Act form of government, as the clerk just explained, because these are the things that interest me. And we started Teaneck Voices and started educating residents. And from there, I started learning heavily about the issues. From there, I also started Teaneck Tomorrow, another newsletter. And then I realized it's really easy to throw tomatoes. It's really easy to complain. It is really hard to do the work and make the decisions. And I decided to run for council, and I love every minute of it. And I think that the biggest, most important lesson is you have to do the hard work, not always what's easy.
My answer is really simple. My mom. My mother was in a labor union for 29 years, and she used to take me to a lot of union meetings as a kid. And she would always come to me at the end of every meeting and yell at me, saying, Miguelito, you gotta help people, you gotta help the poor, you gotta help children. And I remember I always asked her the same thing. I was like, Mom, why do we have to go to these meetings? Why are they so long? My Game Boy battery is dying. Can we just go home? And I don't know if any of you know what a Game Boy is. It was like kind of like a Switch, the original Switch. Yeah. And she was a big inspiration to me, and she still serves as a very big inspiration to me, because you don't realize it as a kid, but a lot of things that your parents say, it sinks in there. Even if you're rebelling and you don't want to listen to it, it sinks in there. And she was always about helping people and helping the community and paying it forward. And lo and behold, it sunk in. And so that's how I ended up getting into this line of work.
Hi, so I've actually been in education for 22 years now, and I'm really passionate about supporting our youth. I've always been active in the community, and since I was in high school, tutor and mentor, volunteer at the hospital. So
tell you a quick story as to how I became an educator and how I got into education. I always had this inclination that I would be a teacher, and I always loved science. But I remember one day playing on my porch. I'm from Baltimore. I was born and raised in an inner city and in one of the project housing developments in Baltimore. And I was playing on the porch one day with my science kit that my mom bought me, and I created like a rock-like substance. I had no clue as to what I mixed together to create it. But I took it to school, and I showed it to my 7th grade science teacher. And my 7th grade science teacher name was Mr. Clem. And I still remember Mr. Clem. He was a short Caucasian man. I was actually taller than he was when I was in 7th grade as my teacher. And he said to me, Andre, what did you create? What did you put together? What did you do? He was questioning me about what it was. I had no clue as to what it was. I don't know if he even knew what it was or if it was anything of any importance. But just that experience and really having a teacher to take interest in my learning made me want to be an educator. And so from that point on, I just tried to do everything that Mr. Clem would do. And in fact, when I went on to high school, when I tell the story, you see what you fail, I say no. But I went on to high school, and I actually had the pleasure of having Mr. Clem as my 9th grade science teacher. When I tell you he was such an amazing teacher, he made every single one of us feel like we were smart. I don't know if he believed that we were all smart, but he made us feel like we were smart. And that's what teachers do. I think teachers change young people's lives, and he changed my life pretty significantly. In fact, throughout my entire time when I was in high school, I would always go back to Mr. Clem's classroom just to engage with Mr. Clem and see what he was teaching young people. And interestingly enough, when I went to college, I studied biology, graduated, and I became a 7th grade science teacher. And some of the exact things that Mr. Clem did for young people in his class like me, I tried to make sure I returned that favor and paid it forward to do the exact same thing for young people that were in my class. And I still remember Mr. Clem today.
So I had a father who was a police officer, and a mother who was a nurse. So there was a early influence in public service in my family. Still, I'm a fireman, my sister's a nurse, so still instilled in us. Like I said before, I went to Fairleigh Dickinson. Still couldn't get enough of the town, so I stayed for my graduate degree and got it in Homeland Security. So I had that itch for public service, and I wanted to do something in police, fire, emergency management. So after I graduated with that degree, I took a government job with the Port Authority. I was there where I learned a lot about civics, state, local government, how they all work together, federal government. Still wasn't quite what I wanted to do, even though I did love it there. I had a lot of friends in police and fire departments, so they told me to take the test. Did very well on the fire test, and 2016 I got hired. So, like I said, it's very fulfilling. And, there's a reason why I think a lot of us have lengthy careers up here. It's not just for the paycheck. It's a good way to make a living, but you have to have some sort of passion.
Well, unlike everybody here, my journey was far different. I needed a job actually. I wanted to change jobs. I lived in Hamilton, New Jersey, which is like 80 miles from here. And I just went on the Civics website, applied for a job, and I was accepted to work in Teaneck. I commuted for 20 years, 80 miles one way each day. And when I came here, like I said, I came with a mechanic And after maybe like 3 years, I saw how things could be done differently. And to make the effect that change, I had to come out of the department I was in, and I made incremental changes and tried to improve the system in which I was working in, and to deliver services more efficiently and cost effectively. And one of the things, like I said, I had no ambition to be director. I couldn't conceive being director, but other people saw that in me as I began to make changes in each department I was working in. And I transferred that today into my role as director. I continue to look for solutions to problems that seem insurmountable. We have a lot of problems within this town, with infrastructure, with aesthetics, and that type of stuff. And sometimes the big things, we can't get it done because of budgetary constraints. But there are small things that we could do, that I could do, and I can make my department move in a certain direction, improve. And aesthetics is one of I think, a very important part of being a part of a vibrant community. People feel vested, and they feel pride and proud of being in a community that is well kept and maintained. And that's what I try to do in my position. My motivation now is to keep on doing more with less to improve Teaneck Township as a whole.
As I had previously mentioned, my parents were both public servants for most of their lives, and honestly, that is not the reason I got into public service. It was really not on the forefront of my mind at all when I was coming to Teaneck, I'll be honest. But I think about it all the time now, owed to my parents. Really, before I came to Teaneck, I was actually involved with an event production company. I was running an event production company with a business partner of mine, where we would work with clients on all different kinds of events, event production leading up to it, and actually many times I was the DJ MC. And we would sometimes work with some clients, like newlyweds, for example. We would work with them sometimes for 9 months, 8 months, leading up to this one big day, this one big outcome, and making that vision come to life. And I've always been very community-minded. Where I'm from in Ringwood, we're about 25 square miles, but we have 12,000 residents spread about those 25 square miles. So we all have our very tight-knit communities. So I always grew up very community-minded. It takes a village was a firm belief that was put into my mind as a child. And I have always loved working with people, and all that experience in event production and all the different experiences I had of volunteering and building community back home, community organizing, I thought of a way to try and bring that more to an official level. Just like Dr. Spencer, 2 of my bosses are here this evening, Councilwoman Goldberg, Mayor Pagan, and we work together on a variety, many different types of issues, ideas, and we work on these things and bring them to fruition. Sometimes I interpret my job like it's one big wedding that I've been planning and working on. You know what I mean? Except the wedding's never ending, for better or for worse. The crazy never really stops. So you just have to manage it and always strive for better and strive for the best outcome.
Okay, we will go to our second question. How was your experience as a member change your views and values?
Thank you. I've been jotting down a couple of wonderful things that I'm hearing from other people tonight, and I just heard doing more with less. And my answer to this question is, for me, less is more. Now, I really hope, now that I just said that, I hope I don't go over my time. But I am finding that before I joined, and certainly before I became chair, I'm very much given to be like a long-winded person. And the less that you say and be more deliberate with what you say, it can be more impactful to others. Also, I'm learning that people really want to be heard. They can teach me so much more than I can teach anyone else or show. I think that comes with like security within myself. So it's easy for me to hear about people and different cultures, different customs, frustrations, different things that maybe I don't personally feel, but I am there at the very least to listen. Also, an important thing about the advisory board and community relations, we are just a board that advises the council. So we can come up with ideas, but we're really there to listen to the community and then maybe give feedback. We may not be able to solve those questions. And when I first joined, I'm sure I had grandiose ideas of what it was that I could do in the community and the changes that I could make. But listening makes a big change, so I'm thankful for that.
This is hard because I just feel like I haven't spent enough time in this position to really know what has changed or been able to reflect on what has changed, right? I think that in this role, I have been a lot more present as to how much work goes into running a town like this because it is so big and there are a lot of different communities that we serve and we have to be present as we serve all of these communities. And it's very hard to be mindful of that because you're answering one email and it's like 9 a.m. and then you also have to schedule some classes and then also have to put out a fire on like, oh, someone didn't get their equipment in time, you know, it's things like that. But at the same time, you know that this is one small cog in a bigger machine, right? And I'm very excited to learn more as I continue on in this position. And I'm very lucky to have a lot of people around me. I really meant what I said earlier on like how much I do like the people that I work with because they have so much talent and experience and they're just a huge resource into letting me grow in this profession. So I'm very grateful.
So I think like growing up in recreation was really beneficial. Going to college, getting my master's, all while working in recreation was great because I learned how to develop ideas, how to problem solve. And my mom always used to say, you know, you need to put care and concern into things. And care and concern goes a long way, and especially with what I do. I deal with people, 600 people, and I just like seeing a friendly face and listening to them and hearing about their backgrounds, I think, has probably been, has definitely like changed my worldview on that. And I think it just changes, you know, being able to have the idea development and being able to have a safe space to say those ideas has also been really, really great.
Before I answer this question, I also want to point out as some of the other panelists that I'm also a third generation Teaneck resident. I think, you know, before becoming a police officer, I saw the world through rose-colored glasses. I would attribute this to my upbringing, to my parents' positive outlook on the world, and I guess to not experiencing too much hardship as a child, a young adult. And I have to admit that has somewhat changed, and I think that's kind of the curse of being a police officer is, you know, you sometimes have to expect the worst, and just be prepared for that. And it's just, you know, I have the luxury of always taking people at face value, unfortunately, in my profession. But as far as my own values, I don't think they've changed much, if at all. I was raised to be respectful of everyone, treat everyone with compassion, have courage and integrity. And naturally, I have a guardian mindset, which I think has served me well in my career as a police officer.
So I've always considered myself a very principled person. I am confident in my ability to listen and research the issues and educate myself so that I can make an informed decision that you've all elected me to do. It's important to know what you stand for and to know what you believe in. Know who you are as a person. Our experiences can shape us, but our values are our core. That's who we are. That's who raised us. So I don't think that my experience has changed my views. I learn and I evolve as we all do. We're all human, and that's what makes it nice. But I know what I stand for. I look at my friends and my family and who raised me. And Teaneck is a really special place, and I think we all have this heart of Teaneck. But my experience has really only reinforced my commitment to this town, to this residents, to our employees. Everyone running, everyone serving or working is doing this job because they care. We can disagree on hyper-local issues, whether it's parks or swimming pools, whatever, and engage in debate and dialogue, and then go out for lunch. It's a beautiful thing.
A lot has changed, a lot, to be very frank with you. Because when you're in a leadership position, it changes you, and hopefully for the better, because I have a lot of friends that were placed in leadership positions over the courses of their career, and it got to their head really, really fast. That's something you don't want to ever let happen to you. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I was running for council for 20 years before I actually won. You know, a lot of people said, why do you keep running? You know, don't you want to just give up and walk away? And I was like, no, because I want to help my hometown. And a lot of it I also think comes from my being a staffer for so long. I was always support staff. And you know, you work for a boss. Boss tells you what to do, you do it, especially in politics and government. And some bosses are better than others. You're gonna encounter that throughout your career and throughout your lives. And some of them will ask you, what do you think I should do? And some of them mean it when they ask you, some of them don't. And you really learn from the ones that actually listen. And one of the things that also helped me was I didn't know anything about kids until I had one. And my son is 9 years old, and he's taught me a lot. But two of the most valuable lessons that he's taught me is, one, you have to be really, really patient. And number two, you have to really, really listen. And if you're in a leadership position, you have to make sure that the train is moving in the right direction, but you have to make sure that you're listening and that you're helping, but you're also you're partly responsible for a bigger organization, because when you're a staffer, you just do what you're told. When you're in a leadership position, you have to make sure everybody on the team is doing what they need to do, but you also need to make sure that they're happy, because you want them to do a good job, because a happy teammate, a happy coworker is just going to produce more, and you end up helping more people. So to be frank with y'all, a lot has changed, especially in the past couple of years, but I hope for the better, because that's always the goal.
So I feel like my experience as a board trustee and now vice president has really solidified my passion for education and for advocating for our youth. Professionally, I'm a school counselor. I was a classroom teacher for several years, and then I coached teachers, and now I'm a counselor. So I've always thought it's so important, education for our students. They're really deserving of our time, our energy, because they're our future. So I really think it's important, to be an advocate for education and for our students. So I truly enjoy being a board member, trustee, and now vice president.
I'll start off with answering the question around my values, because I know my mom really shaped my values and who I am as a person today. And one major value is honesty. Always being truthful with whatever it is that you're doing. Truthful with other people, but most importantly, you have to be truthful with yourself. And recognize that being truthful with yourself requires you to have an understanding of powers that are higher than you, because they are powers that are higher than you. The second aspect of what my mom really taught as a value for me was recognizing and realizing that you have to make sure that you're always treating people fairly. Everyone has to be treated fairly, and there should be zero exceptions to that rule in treating everyone fairly. As far as my viewpoints and my perspectives, I think that has just been really shaped in my experiences in education, living in multiple states, but then also having the opportunity to engage with a variety of people from various backgrounds, from when I was in the military to when I went to college, and then started my work experience. But in understanding and recognizing that everyone has a voice and everyone deserves the opportunity to be heard. And it's really critical and really important that we make sure that we practice the opportunity for everyone to express their voice and to express the opportunity to be heard. And the last piece that I'll share here is growing up, and some of the adults in the room this may resonate with you, but growing up, something that I would hear from something that I would hear from my mom sometimes would be, boy, don't you get in grown people conversations. And I tried very hard not to do that, but in my experiences, I saw how young people really need to be a part of the conversation. Because I think that there are some contributions that young people can bring to the conversation based on some experiences that they may have had that may not be tainted in any way. And I think that that's something that we just have to continue to open up and continue to provide the opportunities around.
So my experiences have changed some views, but also reinforced others. Coming back to the town for work definitely reinforced why I wanted to come back. It's the people, the environment, it's my comfort with the town. I don't think it's ever going to leave. But like most of our panelists can agree, government is a different animal, and it changes your views on a lot of things, particularly budgetary, or how things are done. So I knew coming into government, I can't snap my fingers and things are going to get better. For me, I do fire inspections, like I said. I know that it's going to take time for certain places to come up to code. I can't snap my fingers and come back the next day and it's all going to be better. You have to work with people, to educate them, explain things, because you want them to understand why they're being done. You don't want to just yell at people, tell them, you're going to get a penalty. No, you want to do the good. You want to educate them, explain why things need to be done. I mean, my office, we have a lot of work, but we try to get out there and meet the expectations of the town. When I come in the morning and something's dropped on my desk and a resident has a problem, I have no problem fitting it into my schedule. Because like I said, that's part of the job that I like. It's interacting with the public. And I think it's important for young people to understand that you want to help your neighbors. It's a good value to have. But also, as you go through college, trade school, whatever you do, just remember you can't snap your fingers and get what you want. I
think the Rolling Stones said it best, which they're in town this week. You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you'll get what you want.
Well, my values are in line with my upbringing in Trinidad and Tobago. And when I entered this position, I did some classes, and one of the classes was recycling. And in 1980, the U.S. Implemented the Recycling Act to do recycling. But before that, long before that, in Trinidad and Tobago, we were recyclers. We were the last country in the world to invent a musical instrument in the 21st century. That is the steel pan. And those were invented from the use of old oil drums. We were able to tune those and make musical instruments. So with that mindset, I developed my core values and to find solutions to problems. Back then, we had no money to buy pianos and that kind of stuff. So we made a musical instrument. So in my position, I try to get it done. Try to get it done with whatever resources are available. And that's how I roll, as they say.
I really appreciate what Councilwoman Goldberg said just before about how our viewpoints may not necessarily change. I still have my principles and convictions and beliefs that I had when I was a child, but as I've gotten older and working with people, you know, like this community task, this community job that I've been in has showed me a better understanding of those viewpoints and has applied some realism to them as well, and understanding what is exactly realistic. A very big viewpoint change that I had that humbled me probably within like the first year of being the clerk. You know, I explained to you all how I was in event production, something I still do, but that used to be the full-time thing, and we would work for months and months and months to this big blowout date, you know, some big event, and then the job is over. It's on to the next job, it's on to the next thing, probably not with the same people, probably not at the same place, total change of environment. So I feel, I don't know if my colleagues can relate here, but sometimes in government work, public service work, gratification is not always so apparent and clear to us. And I think part of that is because the job actually never gets done. The job is never finished. We are always administering the community. We are administering our programs. We are leading. And since the job's never done, maybe just people don't have a good opportunity to come up and say, hey, good job. So we don't like feel that all the time.
Good job, Doug.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott. But you know, it's about managing that craziness constantly. You know, managing it constantly. That's something that has been learned to me.
The next question is, what is the most rewarding thing about your position?
Oh, great. That kind of caught me off guard. I thought it would be a different question. But that is wonderful. The most rewarding thing, I think, about working with community relations is the diversity. This year, council has really made great efforts to make it a very diverse board. And I think it's really wonderful that we all have different thoughts, different opinions. It's important for me to pause. If I have something, or that's what I'm learning, if I have something important to say, it'll be just as important a few minutes from now. I don't have to be the largest breath in the room. And I think also, it is so delightful that so many people are teaching me different things. How to handle situations within the community. You know, you can't be reactive when you're dealing with something like community relations in this town. And it is very hard, but actually wonderful when you master it. Like, hold back your tongue, listen, learn, appreciate people, and always be always be guided by that principle that people want to be heard. They want to know that you heard them. I am not a master of the universe. I can't solve all the problems. I really can't. They're very deep. But I can come up with ideas to support other people here in this community. And that's what I'm dedicated to. And that's what every member of our advisory board is dedicated to. And we have people with busy professions, doctors, lawyers. They're gonna carve out that time to be able to help you. So I would encourage all the youth maybe to come to a community relations meeting one night during good and welfare, and you can also participate. You're never too young.
So the most rewarding thing about my position is that I get to be kind of like the stepping stone of the youth into the professional field. I get to be one of the first things that they put down as their experience as working at the recreation center, whether that's as a lifeguard, as a sprinkler attendant, as a splash pad attendant, just anything like that. I think that's a very special thing, yeah.
I would say the most rewarding thing, so I was a finance major and I knew I didn't really want to work for a big five. And I could say that, like, I go home every night, like, knowing that I've made a difference in somebody's quality of life, whether that's recommending a resource, just listening, programming new and innovative classes and programs that can really touch a lot of people. And, you know, like, for instance, like, we did a scam workshop. That's a big thing in the senior world, for everybody, but especially the senior world right now. So knowing that, you know, just going home and knowing that you made a difference in someone's life, I think just makes you feel really good.
I think the most rewarding thing about my current position is being able to affect positive change within my organization. You know, being in a position to make a difference on a larger scale, finally. You know, when you're a new employee or you're middle management, I would say most employees, you know, at different times they work in an organization, they feel like there's things they want to change, and they're not really in a position to be able to do anything about it. So I'm finally in a position to do something about things that I've, you know, over the course of my career, wanted to see done differently. So, you know, I like and get a lot of joy in finding, much like Trayvon said, finding ways to do our job better, be more effective, more efficient, modernize things, use technology in new ways. So I get a lot of pleasure out of that. Also rewarding, as I touched on earlier, is being involved in the hiring process, background investigation process for applicants, to be police officers and public safety telecommunicators, parking enforcement officers, all of our employees, our clerks, the background investigation process, the interview process, and the hiring process. To be able to offer somebody that job, you know, that's their dream job. This is definitely very rewarding.
The most rewarding part of my position is helping people. You actually get to help people because as mayor you get pulled in a million different ways, and sometimes the politics gets a little complicated. And that's part of the reason why my favorite part of the job is constituent services, when you're actually helping residents. For example, there was a resident, a veteran actually, he was in his 80s. you're a veteran and you need any sort of medical care, you can go to the VA. The VA is supposed to help you. But the VA wasn't getting back to him, and luckily because of my position when you're mayor, a lot of times people call and we pick up the phone. Before this position, there were a lot of times you have to keep calling, you have to keep calling, you have to keep calling, just to get through. But because of the title, sometimes you can get through. And so I started harassing our congressman, and because Teaneck is such a very influential town, we have 29,000 voters out of 42,000 residents. It carries a lot of weight in certain politicians. And so I went to this gentleman's house, the veteran's house, sat with him for a little while, called the congressman, put him on speaker, and the congressman put us in touch with one of his aides. So then the aides came down to the house as well while I was there. So we spent a couple hours there, and then we called the VA, and then he made an appointment for the gentleman, and then that's how you get things done, unfortunately. You have to be loud and you have to be persistent. But that's always been my favorite part of the job, and I know it sounds corny, but it's really about helping people. That's what it's supposed to be about. Too many people care more about their own people than their best interest, and that's a shame, because that's what this is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about helping people. And I have to apologize. I have to leave early to make sure my 9-year-old goes to bed. Otherwise, he will play Fortnite all night long. I still don't understand that game, but if I'm not there to put him to bed, he will play it forever. So I thank you for coming out tonight, and I thank you for
So I'm going to say that the most rewarding part is really celebrating student successes. At this past board meeting, we celebrated our girls' basketball team because they won the championship game, and I actually went to that game, and the team rocked it. So it was so great to celebrate them and with them. Also, we had a presentation on the remote operating vehicles that they're doing at the TJ Middle School, and it was just so great to see how passionate the students were. How they created this vehicle that's going to be used at Creek. So I really love celebrating the student successes, looking forward to graduation, like I mentioned earlier. But it's about the kids. It's about our youth and how we're going to support and advocate and work with them to, so that they continue to thrive.
Very similarly, for me, my most rewarding is when I'm in a classroom with a really, really great teacher, and I'm watching that teacher teach. And then I can look at a young person's face the moment that they get an understanding of the concept that's being taught. You can physically see it. And I call it an aha moment. And then they start to explain what it is that they got and understand. That is the absolute best reward that you could possibly receive in education.
Just reiterate what I said before. My job allows me to go out to the public every day and work with the community, business owners, and all in all problem solve. A lot of people have a variety of problems throughout town, whether it's with their businesses or their own home. I go out there, I give them choice A, B, and C to solve the problem, and we go from there. The relationships I build, not only with the residents and town people, with your panel up here. Basically, I just enjoy working with people, so that's the most rewarding thing. I like seeing the classes, high school graduate every year. I want to see their shoes. So, knowing that some of the interns that we get in the fire department are going on to better things, that's a very rewarding thing to see. But I'm sure I'll find a lot more rewarding things as my career progresses.
One of the most rewarding things of my position is being able to solve problems and have that sense of gratitude from the residents. I'm fortunate to be in a position where I could direct change. Most of the time it's through unconventional methods, and results are tremendous, and I feel a sense of pride and accomplishment whenever a problem is solved and residents are happy and grateful that it's taken care of. So basically, public service in the true sense of the word.
Likely the most rewarding aspect for me about this job, just point blank, is the people, are the people. Inside the town hall, my colleagues here, the residents and community that I get to interact and work with is a very wonderful thing. To be able to be a public servant on behalf of a community that's like, I'm very proud to be where I'm from. So I want my public officials in my town hall to represent us well and do a good job. So to be able to perhaps even help foster a lot of this hometown pride that we're hearing up on the panel tonight, if I could help establish that in the youth and the community more on an official level, then that's definitely the most rewarding aspect for me.
Thank you so much, panelists. We're gonna end our question segment right there. We will now begin our event activity. If you'd like to participate, you're more than welcome to. We have a quizzes and we also have a raffle. If you like a raffle ticket, you can walk over to Olivia and she'll hand you one from the roll. The raffle prize is a pair of AirPods. So, yeah, this is free.
I still have the wire, okay?